Film fans YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, the Movie Apprentice, and after 9 episodes, Masters of the Air has finally concluded, which means it is time for a full review. Now, before I get into it, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, click that like button and subscribe for more video reviews like this coming all the time. But without further ado, let's talk about the full series of Masters of the Air. To say that this has been a divisive show, it would be a huge understatement. Some of the comments I have seen on my videos covering each episode of the show have expressed levels of disappointment, whether from a story standpoint or historical accuracy standpoint. There seems to be fluctuating opinions from people from all corners, whether you're a hardcore historian that has been going into this to see how accurate it depicts the events of the Bloody 100th, to those that see it as a gateway to get into history, to those that just see it as a form of entertainment and storylines depicted on screen. There are varying levels of disappointment and approval from a wide range of individuals. And where I fall myself, I'm going to have to say that for me, if this was a B-17, if the show itself was a B-17, it gets home and lands safety, but not after going through a lot of very aggressive flack and landing with many holes in its fortress-like structure. That is my general thoughts in a metaphor for this show. Start off with the positives. I will say that Anthony Boyle as Crosby is absolutely my favorite character in the show. I loved seeing Crosby's development from what is effectively the butt of the joke, being the guy that froze up whilst navigating due to his air sickness, and seeing him be the guy that's in charge and just takes charge as well. I have absolutely adored seeing his character on screen and develop over the course of the show, which makes sense as he is the guy that did write the book as well. So it makes sense that he has a very definitive arc throughout the course of the show itself. His dynamic with Rosenthal as well, played by Nate Mann, is really good. Their scenes are some of the best dynamics I have seen on screen. And whilst people have debated that there isn't enough air combat in this Masters of the Air show, I will say some of the stronger moments of the show have been the intimate human discussions, whether that be an interaction between Crosby and Rosenthal, or one particular scene in episode 6, I believe, when Rosenthal is sat with a doctor talking about letting off steam and just getting your head down and getting on with the job, and just the layers that are within that one particular conversation is some of the best content I have seen across all of the miniseries that cover the events of World War II from different perspectives. That being said, though, this show does have a nasty habit of building up plot threads that are never followed through upon. A classic example in this one is that of Quinn, who after his plane is shot down in episode 3, we follow him for about a third of episode 4, trying to get back to England, along with another one of his comrades that was also shot down. The last we see of him in that episode is on the train. He nearly freaks out and messes everything up for not only him, but for the people escorting him over the borders as well. But we never ever see him get back to England. We literally cut to a bit of exposition a few episodes later of him riding on a bike on the runway saying, "Yep, I am safe," being told he was sent home because of a little loophole in the rules of if you were shot down, then you couldn't fly out again in case you were shot down again, because you would know too much about the people that would smuggle them back to the mainland. That arc could have been a whole solitary episode on itself, and that's my big issue with the show, is that it spends too much time overcrowding each particular episode. Now, whilst I want to keep my Band of Brothers comparisons to a minimum because that whole show was lightning in a bottle, the comparison I can make is that those episodes felt focused. It did focus on one company, and whilst we saw all the characters interacting with each other, it always had a highlight on one particular individual in each episode, which really helped carry the narrative through. Whereas this show jumps between 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 plot lines at certain points, and it means that the characters are fighting for screen time, and it makes the show feel overcrowded as a result. A big casualty of that is Tuskegee Airmen. Now, as some of you have pointed out, yes, they were not part of the 100th. That is obvious. That is specified in the episode itself. It is factually accurate that the 3 Tuskegee Airmen that are shot down and end up at the same prison camp as Buck Cleven and Buck Egan, that is accurate. However, it feels like they have nothing to do. They are there specifically to not bring attention to the Tuskegee Airmen as a whole fighting unit, but rather to say, yes, we are an all black Air Force, and some of us are not getting big ranks because of our skin color. And there's a bit of tension between them and the other POWs in that camp before Clevin gives his all clear to, yeah, these guys are cool. And then the last episode, they do effectively nothing apart from get racially insulted by one German officer, and one helps Egan find a flag for a big heroic moment. And that is all we see of them. And it feels like they should have got their own solitary episode just focusing on them. End that episode with the three individuals getting shot down, and then we see him appear again in an episode focusing exclusively on the cam. Me personally, I felt the show could have flowed a lot better if it stayed focused in its particular episodes, focusing on certain individuals to carry a story through. Sure, you would have to jump between time periods, you might have to jump back and forth in time to re-level things up. But the fact that a lot of the air battles we are told about, but we never see them, that is a big disappointment for me as well. The show goes very Hollywood in building up the death of Clevin. In one episode, we hear about it, we see Ego's response to it. We never see the battle. We get a bit of conversation from Crosby saying it was a very, very aggressive, bloodiest battle yet for the 100th, but we never see this mission take place because it banks on a idea that one of our characters has died off screen. I don't think anyone, even those that were blind to the history, thought that he was indeed dead, because as it said in Band of Brothers, if there ain't nobody, there ain't nobody effing dead. And that is exactly what takes place in this series. It's just a jumbled mess at times. Now, whilst the actual air combat sequences are really well done, sure, the CG isn't perfect, but I love how it depicted the terror of fighting on these so-called flying fortresses. It really showed how quick life could be snuffed out, how brutal it is up there. The effects on some of the wounds are graphic and horrid. And when the show focuses on a character's reaction in the aftermath of a fight, that is where it gets some of its strongest moments, just showing the human reaction to these air combats, which I thought was really well done. At the same time, though, for Ashoka Masters of the Air, there isn't a lot of air combat or general flying in a couple of these episodes. Even if they had a whole episode of training, that might have been useful for introducing us to some characters, especially as a lot of them do bite the big one in the first couple of episodes, and that is factually accurate. A lot of the 100th Bomber Group were killed off pretty soon. Hitting 25 missions was almost an impossibility in the minds of some of the men. It still could have done with an episode of building these characters off and then knocking them down like dominoes. Game of Thrones worked well with building characters up and then knocking them off, and this show fortunately failed to find that balance for me. Before I get into Milvale Grey, click that like button and subscribe for more video reviews that is coming all the time, and let me know what you thought overall of the show down below. Without further ado, let's grade this. Masters of the Air for me is a show that soared high at times, but then would crash and burn sometimes immediately afterwards. Episodes 5 and 6 are by far my favorite episodes in the show, but 7 and 8 are easily the weakest of the show, followed closely by episode 4. It's a very up and down journey for Masters of the Air, and for me, whilst I enjoyed the characters, especially that of Crosby and Rosenthal, and some of the air fighting sequences, I feel like 9 episodes with so many characters vying for screen time really made the show suffer a lot. The fact that the last episode was an hour and 20, it felt like every other episode should have been at least that length, because a lot of them are around the 40 to 50 minute mark. It feels like just having that extra 20 minutes really helped the show breathe a little bit. But because it failed to really balance its storylines and focus, it made the show at times a little bit of a chore to watch. I'm going to have to say that for me, Masters of the Air is a tea that needs more sugar. The Masters of the Air, let me know what you thought of the show down in the comments below. And if you have any last minute stories about it to bring up, then do let me know as well. Thank you for everyone that has been with me on this journey of Masters of the Year. The traction to the channel has been absolutely insane going through this series. I did not expect that when I started, as I am a movie review channel. I just really wanted to review the show because I'm a big fan of Brand Brothers. I did moderately enjoy the Pacific, so I was really excited for the show and wanted to talk about it. And those of you that have subscribed because of my content on this show, I hope that you will stick around for the film reviews, as I'm getting back to them more now that this show has concluded. But if not, I've appreciated you have stuck with me throughout this journey. But until next time, everybody, I am Josh, the Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.